Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. Today's tutorial is bringing all bold texture. We're making a cropped crochet sweater with cozy ribbing through the body and statement chevron sleeves worked in beautiful ombre yarn. It's fun, eye-catching, and the perfect piece to show off your stitching skills. If you're new here, welcome. I share modern crochet patterns and tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. So tell a friend, tap the bell, and subscribe so you never miss an upload. And if you enjoy the video, give it a big thumbs up if you like it or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to support the channel and help keep these tutorials free. So without further ado, here's how to make your own ombre chevron sleeve crochet sweater. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 430 grams of yarn. That's 770 yards if you're stateside. The individual measurements will be on the screen. As for tools, a 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. Stick to the end of the video to hear about this week's pattern giveaway. We're using 4 stitches for this project and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small. You can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting the sweater started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 6mm hook and start off by making a chain that starts from the top of our shoulder down to like the bottom of the sweater to be. I'd like for mine to be cropped, so I'm going to start by making a chain 45, and that's just about 13 inches or 33 centimeters. I already have this portion of my piece completed, so I'm just going to do a small sample size with you. Once we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 does not count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. From here, we're going to yarn over, preparing for a half double crochet. Into the chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook, we're going to insert our hook in through that chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3 loops on our hook. That is our first half double crochet. Again, yarn over, into that next chain we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through to get 3 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through all 3. Continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. Our first half double crochet row is completed. Our following row is going to be a back loop half double crochet row. So chain 2, flip our work, and now yarn over, preparing for a half double crochet. Insert your hook into that first stitch's back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, with a half double crochet. Once more, yarn over, next stitch's back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. Continue with 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. At the end of the row, chain 2, flip our work, and repeat. We're going to continue with our back loop half double crochet rows with no increases, no decreases, until we now have a portion that can reach from 2 inches past the tip of our shoulder over until we're about 1 inch away from the side of the base of our neck. Then I will meet everyone back right after an even numbered row. We are back and my shoulder portion is complete. I have a total of 16 rows. This width is just about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters. Now we're going to get started with our neckline portion. So what we're all going to do is start by placing this up to ourselves and inserting our stitch marker into the stitch that we have that's just about 1 inch beneath the base of our neck. Now the top of our work is going to be where our tail end is, or the opposite from where our hook is. I went ahead and inserted my stitch marker into the 15th stitch from the top, that's just about 4 inches or 5 centimeters. Now since we should all be along the bottom, we're going to get started on the following row. So chain 2, flip our work. Put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch until we're worked into the stitch right before our stitch marker. We have just made our way all the way up with our back loop half double crochet row. Now from here we're going to chain 2, flip our work, and 1 back loop half into every stitch again. Then all we're going to do for this neckline portion is just continue to do our back loop half double crochet rows with no increases, no decreases until we work our way across our chest past the side of the base of our neck by just about 1 inch. Then I'll meet everyone back right after an odd number row so that we'll be along the top, then we can do the second shoulder together from there. My neckline portion is completed. I now have a total of 31 rows. My width is just about 14 inches or 36 centimeters. Then from here, since we all should have ended along the top, we're going to do our second shoulder portion. So since we all ended along the top, we're all going to start by making a chain. for the same amount of stitches that we skipped when we got started on our neckline. For those of you that have my numbers, I skipped a total of 15 stitches, so along this end I'm going to make a chain 15. Once we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain into a chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Then into the chain that we blocked off with a third chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a half double crochet. So yarn over, into that chain, insert with 1 half double crochet, and from here continue with 1 half double crochet into every chain. Then once we reach the body portion, continue with 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. We are back and my first shoulder row is completed. From here we're just going to do back loop half double crochet rows with no increases, no decreases for the same amount of rows that we have for our first shoulder portion. Once we have the same amount of rows completed, do a chain up of 1 and cut, then I will meet everyone back. I have just completed the entirety of my front panel. My total width is now 19.5 inches or 50 centimeters, and now from here we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut and do the back panel. Now the back panel is going to be done pretty much the same way as the front without the neckline cutout. So what we're going to do for the back panel is just make the same chain that we made for the front panel, then just do our back loop half double crochet rows for the same exact amount of rows that we have from our first row all the way across to our last row. So I had a total of 47 rows for my front panel, so 47 rows for my back. Once we have the back panel completed, do a chain up of 1 and cut, then I'll meet you back to seam it all together. So now that we have both our front and back panel completed, we're now going to seam the shoulders. So go ahead and place the front panel on top of the back, then insert our hook into the top corner stitch of both the front and the back. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through everything on our hook, and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Now we're going to do a single crochet seam, so we're going to find that first side row into the front panel, find that top loop and insert your hook, find that same first side row within the back panel, insert your hook, and single crochet. We're going to alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row, so into the next one we're going to insert with 2 single crochets. So finding that next side row, we're going to find that top loop, insert within the front panel, finding that next top loop within the back panel, insert in through there with 1 single crochet, then into the same top loop within the front and back panel, we're going to insert in through there. It should be a little bit easier since everything is already gathered for us, and we're going to single crochet again. From here, continue to alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row until we don't have any more side rows left to work into within the front panel. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. So now that we have just completed seaming up the shoulders, now we're going to get started on the collar. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is looped right side out, right side out. We're then going to insert our hook into any one of the stitches that we have along our neckline, then do a single crochet row. So all we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into every stitch and alternate between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row. So I'm going to make my way down with 1 single crochet into every stitch, then I'll meet you back at our first side row. This is my first side row. I'm going to find that top loop just like our shoulder and insert with 1. This is my following side row and I'm going to insert with 2. And that's basically it. We're going to continue alternating between 1 to 2 single crochet into every side row with 1 single crochet into every stitch, making our way all the way around. Now just as a really quick tip, this single crochet row is going to be as wide as this portion can stretch, so once when it's completed, try your piece on. If it's a little too tight, we do some stitches with a looser grip, or if it's too loose, we do some stitches with a tighter grip. Then I'll meet you back. Our single crochet row is completed. We have just slip stitched into that chain space. Now what we're going to do is make a chain the length that we'd like for the collar to be. I'd like for mine to be just about 1.5 inches or 3 centimeters, so I went ahead and made a chain 6. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Now we're going to slip stitch into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook. So into that chain that we blocked off, we're going to insert our hook, then yarn over, gently pull through everything on our hook. That is our first slip stitch. Once more, into that next chain, insert, pull through everything. And we do want to make sure that we're not tugging too tightly after every stitch, otherwise the following row can be too tight to work into. And that's it. From here, continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain. We've just made our way down with our row 1. Now we're going to connect it into the base. So just finding that next available stitch into the base, we're going to slip stitch into there, and that slip stitch is just to connect. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch up that following stitch into the base. Still doesn't count as a stitch, also just to connect and flip our work. Now from here, we're going to put one back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So finding that last stitch from our previous row, not working into any of those slip stitches into the base, we're going to insert into that back loop only, yarn over, and gently pull through everything on our hook. Again, into that next stitch's back loop, insert, gently pull through everything, and continue with one back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Then at the end of the row, chain 1, flip our work, put one back loop slip stitch into every stitch again, then I'll meet you back at the end of our row 3. We're now at the end of our row 3, now we're going to connect it into the base. So just like how we did our previous row, slip stitch up that following stitch into the base, does not count as a stitch again. Then since we're here, slip stitch up the following stitch into the base, flip our work, and repeat. From here, we're going to continue to repeat our 2 previous rows with no increases, no decreases, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I'll meet you back so we can seam it all together. So we are back. We have made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch rows. Now we're going to seam our collar together. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, then insert our hook into the corner stitches of both the front and the back panel. We're then going to pull our working yarn through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then we're going to do an outside loop slip stitch seam. So finding that first stitch into the front panel, we're going to insert into that front loop only. Into the back panel, we're going to insert into that back loop only. Then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on our hook. Let's do this again. Into the next stitch into the front panel, insert only into that front loop. Next stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop. Yarn over, pull through everything on our hook, and continue on with this till we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up of 1 and cut. So we've just completed seaming up our collar. Now we're going to seam up our sides. So first things first, we're all going to need to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out, meaning our shoulder seam is along the outside. Then we're going to insert our stitch marker into any stitch that is in multiples of 6 from the top for the width that we'd like for the sleeve to be. I'd like for my sleeve to be just about 6 inches or 15 centimeters, so I went ahead and inserted my stitch marker into the 21st stitch from the top. Then we're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're going to pull our working yarn through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Then what we're going to do is find that first stitch into the front panel, insert, next stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet around everything. Once more, next stitch into the front panel, insert, next stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet, and we're just going to continue doing this until we reach our stitch marker. Once when we do a chain up of 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. The next thing we're going to do is our sleeve. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped right side out, meaning all of the seams are along the inside. Then we're going to insert our hook into the stitch that we have that's nearest to our side seam within the armhole. Then our first row is just going to be a single crochet row. So insert your yarn onto your hook and put 1 single crochet into every stitch. And also, since I'm using 2 different colors for this project, I'm now inserting my secondary color yarn. Then I'll meet you back at the end of the row. We've made our way all the way around with our single crochet row. Now we're going to slip stitch it into that chain space that we made to close off the row. So into that chain space that we made, we're going to insert, yarn over, pull through everything. Now that slip stitch will not actually count as a stitch. It is going to look like an extra one, but we're not going to count it. I will talk about this in a few rows, but just to get started on the following row, which is our chevron prep row, we're all going to chain 3 and flip our work. Now this prep row is going to be done exactly the same way for everyone, no matter what size we're making. So what we're going to do is yarn over. Into that first stitch from our previous row, making sure we're not working into that slip stitch, we're going to start with 1 double crochet. So insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then after that double crochet, we're all going to do a half double crochet. So yarn over, into that following stitch, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Then after that half double crochet, we're all going to do 3 single crochets. So into that following stitch, insert with 1, next stitch with a second, next stitch with a third. Then right after that, 1 half double crochet, yarn over, into that next stitch, pull through 3. Now all together, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches completed. All we're going to do is continue to repeat these 6 stitches until we reach the end of the row. So just as a really quick refresher, doing this really quickly, we're going to start with 1 double crochet, then 1 half double, then 3 single. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, then a half double crochet, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row. So we've just made our way all the way around with our prep row. Now we're going to close it off. So we all should have ended after a half double crochet, and we're going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain that we made when we got started on the row. So there's 1, 2, 3 into that 3rd chain, insert with a slip stitch, and now we're going to chain 3 and flip our work. Now we're going to do our actual chevron portion. So in one of our previous clips, I did mention that the slip stitch that closes off the row doesn't actually count as a stitch. So we're not going to be counting it as a stitch when we reach the end of the row, but we are going to be using it as a stitch when we start the following row. So what I mean by that is we're all going to yarn over, preparing for a double crochet. Into that slip stitch that we did that connected the beginning to the end of the row, we're going to insert in through that back loop. We're going to insert with an increase of 2 back loop double crochets. There's my first back loop double. Yarn over into that same back loop with a 2nd back loop double crochet. Now this is technically going to count as 1/2 of an increase portion. Now right after that increase of 2, what we're going to do is 1 back loop double. So into that following stitch is back loop, insert with 1 double crochet, then a decrease of 3 back loop doubles. So yarn over, into that next stitch is back loop, pull through, next stitch is back loop, pull through, next stitch is back loop, pull through for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on our hook. Then from here, yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over, pull through 2. Then right after that decrease, we're all going to do 1 back loop double crochet, and then after that 1 back loop double, an increase of 3 back loop doubles. So yarn over into that next stitch, we're going to insert with 1, same stitch with a 2nd, same stitch with a 3rd back loop double crochet. Now from here, we're going to continue to repeat this, making our way all the way around. So I'm just going to do the next set of stitches together as well. So we just completed an increase. Right after we do an increase, we're always going to do 1 back loop double. Then after that 1 back loop double, a decrease of 3 back loop doubles. So yarn over, into that next stitch is back loop, pull through, next stitch is back loop, pull through, next stitch is back loop, pull through for 5 loops on our hook. Then yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over, pull through 2. Right after that decrease, 1 back loop double crochet. Then right after that, an increase of 3 back loop doubles. So there's 1 into that same stitch with a 2nd, same stitch with a 3rd. Now we're just going to continue to repeat this, making our way all the way around. And when we have just 1 stitch left to do, I'll meet everyone back so we can work into there together. So we've just made our way all the way around with our first chevron row, and we should have all left that last stitch. Now right before that last stitch, we should have had a decrease of 3 back loop doubles, and then 1 back loop double, and then our last available stitch. Now because we started off this row with a half of our increase, all we're going to do into that last stitch is 1 back loop double, just to complete that increase. Now what we're going to do is close off the row. So count up the 3 chains that we made. There's 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch into that 3rd chain, chain 3, flip our work, and repeat. So flip your work. So just to start this row with you, into the top of that slip stitch from our previous row, we're going to yarn over into that slip stitch's back loop with an increase of 2 back loop double crochets, 1, then a decrease of 3 back loop double crochets, insert, 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 pull through 4, pull through 2. After that decrease, 1 back loop double, then an increase of 3 back loop doubles. And we're just going to continue on with this, making our way all the way around, remembering that the last stitch will be 1 back loop double crochet. And repeat this exact row until you get the sleeve length that you want. Then I'll meet you back. So I've just completed the length of my sleeve. I now have a total of 28 rows. This length is just about 17 inches or 43 centimeters. Now we're going to do the last row to even it out, then our cuff. So from where we're at, we're all going to chain 1 and flip our work. So what we're all going to do from here is start with 1 single crochet, and we are not going to be working into that slip stitch that connects the beginning to the end of the row anymore. So just into the last stitch from our previous row, insert with 1 single crochet. Then 1 half double crochet, and then 1 double crochet. Now we're just trying to even out the row, so let's do this again. Into that next stitch, we're going to do 1 half double crochet, then 3 single crochets. The 3 single crochets is going to be worked on top of our increase of 3 doubles. So 1, into that next, and into that next again with another. Once more into that next stitch, 1 half double, into the top of that decrease, 1 double, and into that next with a half. We're going to continue repeating these stitches, making our way all the way around, then slip stitch into that chain space at the beginning of the row. So we've made our way all the way around with our evening out row. Now from here, we're going to do our cuff. Now the cuff is going to be done exactly the same way as the collar. So just to talk you guys through it, we're all going to make a chain the length that we'd like for the cuff to be. I like for mine to be just about 2 inches or 3 centimeters. So I'm going to start by making the chain 10, then do our same exact back loop slip stitch rows, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I'll meet you back so we can seam it up. So we've made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch cuff, and now we're going to seam it all together, but this seam is actually going to be done exactly the same way as the collar. So just to talk you guys through it, we're going to make sure that our work is slipped right side out, right side up. We're going to do our same exact outside loop slip stitch seam. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, do a chain up 1 and cut, then repeat on the other side. Now once we have both of our sleeves completed, we are all done. The last thing we're going to have to do is simply weave in all of our ends. And there you have it, y'all. Hope you enjoy the tutorial. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us if you prefer handmade decorations or store-bought. I like a little mixture of both. Details for the giveaway down below. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!